Hi, this is Dovid Orlofsky, and welcome to the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. And wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, whatever you're doing, I hope it's good. You know, I actually got a number of emails complaining that the recent episodes have just been too darn long. They've just gotten too long. I'm surprised. Because people used to complain they were too short, and then people say, listen, I liked it the way it was. It just gets to be too long, and I haven't got that much time to dedicate to this. Nothing personal. I don't take it personally. Personally, I can sit and listen to myself for hours and hours, and I do. I actually watch my podcast and I laugh all over again and enjoy myself. So the last episode, which was our Purim episode, was particularly long. The Purim episodes tend to be long because I bring in my children and, give them that forum. And, there's a lot of Orlofskys. You have to bear in mind, I'm one of 6 boys. My oldest brother passed away. But when I was growing up, I was probably the quietest in the family. Everybody would be outside playing ball, having rock fights with the kids down the block, and I would sit in my room and read. I was relatively quiet compared to the rest of my family. So you can imagine if we got everybody here together. My brother Jason, who passed away, his yahrzeit is coming up the beginning of Nisan. He said to me once, I can't believe you get paid to speak. I'm so much funnier than you are, and I'm so much better than you are, and I'm so much more interesting than you. Why do you get paid to do this? And I said, well, Jason, I work clean. He goes, oh, all right. But for pure outrageousness, few people could top him. Very talented. And Baruch Hashem, I have a lot of talented children, and so we all have a lot to say. But so I'm going to try to keep this one a little shorter. And but I will make up for it because soon we'll be starting our annual Pesach program, and we'll be having multiple episodes to keep you company while you prepare for Pesach. So I want to finish up Adar with an idea that I feel like I may have talked about in the past, but when you get to be my age, you know what they say, the first thing to go is your memory. The second thing is, no, that's not important. But anyway, so it could be I've spoken about this before, but you reach a certain age and they say you're constantly meeting new people, and sometimes they're family members. You just don't remember, Part of this is age, and part of it is hereditary. My father, as long as I can remember, most of the people that he knew was named who's that guy? And we start to become our parents. We get a little older. Such is life. Some people are much better with their memories. My good friend Joe Werfel, who I've never really spoken about yet. I really need to dedicate more of a show to him. But his mind was sharp right up until the end. I mean, he could remember everything. It's just amazing. He was my associate director in NCSY, and I never needed a Rolodex. Okay, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about. Before there were cell phones, before there were mobile phones, there were just regular phones that were wired into the wall. So you basically had a fancy address book. You used to have address books where you kept track of names and addresses and phone numbers. And a fancy one was a Rolodex, where each person got their own little card in alphabetical order, and you would roll it, which is a Rolodex, to be able to find the particular name. We didn't need one in the office because Joe remembered everybody's number. You just knew them all by heart. I just say, Joe, what's the number? Today it's the exact opposite. Nobody knows anybody's number because they put it to their phone and then they just know the name. If they lose their phone, they don't know anybody's number. So it's memory is a different thing. But so it could be I spoke about this idea in the past. But as we come to the end of the month of Adar, which is the end of the Jewish year. The Gemara says it's Machlekes Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Eliezer, whether the world was created in Nisan or in Tishrei, and we seem to paskin like Rabbi Yeshua. The world was created in Nisan. Now, of course, we have Rosh Hashanah at the beginning of Tishrei. We call it the Rosh Hashanah. So, the beginning of the year, and the famous Ran that discusses why we call it Rosh Hashanah if, in fact, the world was created in Nisan. What took place on Rosh Hashanah? But okay, we'll put that aside just for a moment and say that the world is coming to an end on Adar. And this was one of the things that Haman noticed. That when the Pura came out to Adar, he says, oh, just as the Jewish people began in Nisan, so they will end in Adar, because everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so the Jewish people came into existence in the month of Nisan. So a Shana is a full cycle. They'll meet their end in Adar. So the Mishnayos Shkolim, which interestingly enough is the only Yerushalmi that we do in Daf Yomi. We're coming to the end of Psachim, by the way. Those of you who would like to consider picking up with Daf Yomi, we will be starting soon Shkolim Yerushalmi, and that's really fascinating. And we will be going through Shkolim, and it talks about the Chatzi Shekel that was collected every year. And it was collected during Adar so that it could be used to buy the new korbanos, the new offerings, public offerings that were going to be brought on in Nisan. And the pasuk teaches us that you have to use new money every year to buy the new korbanos, even though half a shekel from all of the Jewish people was such an enormous amount of money. In fact, during the second Beis HaMikdash, people tried to buy from the Romans the position of Kohen Gadol so that they could get access to the treasury. Such an enormous amount of money that was involved. And you just had to buy 2 sheep for the Korban Tamid every day. And Korban Musaf, relatively limited amount of those on the holidays and every Shabbos. So a lot of this money was left over. So Mishnayos Shkolim begins by saying that on Rosh Chodesh Adar, they begin announcing about the Shkolim, time to collect the Shkolim. And that is why we read Parshas Shkolim on either the Shabbos before Rosh Chodesh or in a year like this, which has been an extremely unusual year. Asar B'Teves came out on Friday. That can happen, but does not happen often. We of course have, for you outside of Yerushalayim, Purim comes out on Friday. We've had that a lot of times here in Yerushalayim. You people don't have that too often, because when that happens, we have Purim on Shabbos, which of course leads to a Purim Meshulash, which is what we had here in Yerushalayim, 3 days of Purim. And that means that Erev Pesach will come out on Shabbos. And so that brings with it its own challenges, which we'll talk about. And so Parshas Shkolim you could actually do on Rosh Chodesh Adar. And they read the Parsha and tell everyone to get ready with their shekel. So the first Mishnah, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Aleph says that in addition to that, what would they do? Metaknin es hadrachim. They would es rechovos. They would fix up the roads and the highways. V'es mikvos hamayim, and they would clean out the public mikvahs, etc. V'osin called tzorchei rabim, and they would take care of everything that needed to be done. So what were they taking care of? Okay, talk about different things that they would do. What would they do? Mitzayin es hakvaros. They would mark the graves. V'yotanaf al kilayim, and they would also send out people to check if there was overgrowth that was leading to kilayim. Now, why would they do this? Okay, so one reason is we're going to start collecting money from the public. We want to show the public your tax dollars at work. We want to show everybody that we're fixing up the roads, we're remarking the graves, we're taking care of all of the public projects that need to be done. Don't worry, your money is going to a good cause. That's one reason. The other reason is that the month of Adar is at the end of the rainy season. Baruch Hashem, here in Eretz Yisrael, we've had a really good rainy season. The Kinneret is almost full. It was a good year. But there's something in the world, a rule, a Newtonian rule, if you will, known as entropy. And that is things fall apart. Left to themselves, systems tend to reach their greatest level of disorder and chaos. Right? Don't try cleaning the kitchen for a while. You won't find that it becomes cleaner. Don't stay on top of cleaning the house. It's not going to become cleaner. Things fall apart. Things reach a level of chaos. Tohu vohu. Everything falls apart. You need to maintain things. You need to work to stay on top of things. The rainy season is a time, historically, in different societies, where people did not stay on top of everything because the rain would just come and wash everything away. So it doesn't pay to clean out the mikvahs because it's just going to rain and wash dirt and leaves and things into it. That's the way the world is set up. In springtime, everything grows, renews, begins again. Summer, it becomes lush and full. In autumn, things begin to deteriorate. Things start to wither. And in the winter, everything looks dead. The trees look dead. And the rain washes everything away. So you have to remark the graves because they used to mark around it with plaster so you knew where the grave was so people didn't become tamei. And the rain would wash that away. Things would become overgrown. So you'd end up with kilayim because, different types of species would grow together. So you have to send people out to check and say, hey, you got to uproot that. You got to remove that. That's a problem. I know you didn't plant it, but that's what happens. Things just start to grow. You take a look at the sidewalk and you see grass growing out in between the concrete. You'll find wherever you might have tiling or brickwork outside, you'll find things starting to grow out of it. Things start to wash away. That's the nature of life. Things tend to fall apart. Trust me. Yeah. When you're young, you think you can do anything. You can't even imagine that there's a limitation. You could eat whatever you want, as much as you want, unless you have some kind of specific digestive problem. You can do anything you want. You're so strong, you slowly start getting older. And you start to see your body developing limitations. Now there are things I can't do. Now there are things I can't eat. Now my opportunities are becoming more limited. You feel life closing in on you. Things start to fall apart. Or as someone famously noted, if I wake up in the morning and nothing hurts, then I know I'm dead. You start to go, oh. And I go to get a haircut. I said to the guy, you obviously didn't clean off the, cloth from the last guy because there's all this white hair. Where'd that come from? I'm shocked. Full disclosure, because I have no filters, as you probably noticed. I had a problem. Part of it's hereditary, part of it is age, but my eyelids were drooping into my eyes. They were drooping so far in that I couldn't see. I would have to teach a class and I'd have to open my eyes. So I went for what today we call in the vernacular an eye job, where they had to cut away part of my lid, cut away some of the underneath. I just couldn't see. In fact, the health fund covered it because they said, this is medical. You just can't see. It's kind of dangerous when you're driving. I remember when I went for the checkup afterwards, he showed me the before pictures and the after pictures. He says, see, now you don't look so tired and angry. I said, did it ever occur to you that I'm just tired and angry? But, gravity just starts to hang down on it. Okay, so the Gemara says Rabbi Yochanan had to roll up his eyelids. That wasn't ad kedei kach, but I just couldn't see. It wasn't for just for appearance's sake. Medically I couldn't see. In fact, it takes a while until things snap back. For the longest time I was like, my wife says, why do you always look upset? I said, it's not, it's my eyes. You always look like you're going, In fact, there was one particular actress who had her eyes done so many times that she couldn't close them. Couldn't close them all the way. Yeah. But gosh, when you're younger, who even imagines that? Well, bit by bit. That's the nature of life. Yes, Nisan, it begins, and slowly by the time you reach Adar, everything's falling apart. And so we have to spend a time of hischadshus, recreation. We have to fix things up, clean things up. Pesach cleaning. So you have a lot of these Rabbanim who always point out, Pesach cleaning is not spring cleaning. I used to say this over because it's one of the things you expected to say in a Pesach shir, Until one time a woman said to me, right, but I also have to do spring cleaning. So do you really think I'm going to take the beds apart to check the bed frames to make sure there's no chametz there and not wipe it down? I was like, you're right. Do spring cleaning. It's something that's built into nature. At the end of the rainy season, as we get ready for the springtime, you have to clean everything up. You have to clean out the mikvos and clean out the burrows of water. You have to repaint. You have to set everything up because that's the nature of it. Things fall apart. And before you can get started, you have to start over again. Gardeners know that they have to come in at the end of the winter before the springtime. Plant the annuals. Those of you not familiar, there's two types of plants. There are annuals and perennials. Perennials just keep growing the same plants. Annuals, they die out at the end of autumn and they have to be replaced. So you have to come in, you have to clean up the garden, rake out all the dead leaves, pull everything together. If you're environmentally conscious, you'll pull them all together and let them mulch so you can use them later for fertilizer. Pull everything together. But that's the nature of life. Things fall apart. Yeah. It's very interesting. We say tefillas tal on Pesach. We say the tefillah for tal. And if you look in, I think it's the Mata Moshe, could be the Mata Moshe, Mata Aaron, or one of the Perushim. So when you say tefillas geshem, so when you come to the end of tefillas geshem, we say l'chaim v'lo l'maves, and it says quite literally, you need water to live. That the rain should fall so that we can live and not die. We in Eretz Yisrael are much more conscious of this because we really depend on the rain. People don't realize this. In Yerushalayim, when they would find any house, it always had a cistern. Because during the rainy season, you would wait for your cistern to fill up and then you would seal it. And that was all the water you had for washing, for drinking, for whatever. And as it would slowly go down, you had to hope that it lasted till the next rainy season. If it didn't, you were in a very serious thing. They'd make tanesim. I'm talking about even in the old yeshuv. If you go to the old yeshuv museum in the old city, you'll see the different signs that they used to put up, telling people we're making a tainus, we're making especially on tefillah. There's no rain. I remember one time there was a drought, terrible drought, and they made a yom tefillah at the Kaisel, at the Western Wall. And I remember at the time I was teaching in Esha Torah, so I was overlooking Kaisel Plaza. And they gather everybody together. There was no prediction of rain. And they said the first pasuk of the first kapitel, Shea Malais, and the sky opened up and it started to pour. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. That's not the amazing thing. Half the people had umbrellas. They were so sure we're going to dive and it's going to start to rain. So you say, L'chaim v'lo l'maves, if you don't have any rain, you don't have any water, it's mamish. It's life or death. What do you do without water? We take it so for granted that we turn on the faucet. During the 48 war, the Arabs cut the pipelines, and Yerushalayim was desperate for water. It's something that you take for granted. And we say tefillas tal on Pesach. There he says a different shot. L'chaim v'lo l'maves. He says tchias hamesim. Because Pesach is tchias hamesim. It's resurrection. That's the idea of springtime. Everything comes back to life. You look at these trees in the wintertime and they look like they're dead. And suddenly they come back to life. Life begins again. Things start to grow. An amazing thing. And that's, Pesach is, the tefillas tal is a concept of tchias hamesim. And that's what the Chazal say, is that when, tchias hamesim is going to be, a Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring the tal of tchias hamesim. Bring everybody back to life. We were dead in Egypt. The Geula was a tchias hamesim. We had to come back to life. I've mentioned this, but the Ramban says, where is the Maisa Avos Simon Labanim? All operations, Maisa Avos Simon Labanim. Where's Mashiach? He says, it's when Yaakov comes back to Eretz Yisrael dead. That's what's going to be in the final Geula. The Gra says, it's Perish and Zoya, that the Chazal say that Titus stuck his sword into the paroches and blood came out. And says the Gra, because he killed us. And we died. And for 2,000 years, we've been rotting away until there's nothing left but dry bones. And when Mashiach comes, he's going to have to bring us back to life. Just like Yaakov Avinu comes back to Eretz Yisrael dead and you have to wait for him to come back to life. That's the whole Jewish people. And we don't even appreciate it, that we're dead. How much can we expect from people? Yeah. The Gemara says that they hid Megillus Tainus. She talks about all kinds of different happy days and sad days because there's already one door after the Churban, after the destruction of Jerusalem. Shem Gamliel. Why? Because it's just like a needle in dead flesh. Doesn't feel any pain. We don't feel any pain. We're limited in what we can experience. So Adar is the nadir of the Jewish people, and that's why Purim is really a story of Tchias HaMesim. Achashverosh signed a decree that every Jew was going to die. By the way, that decree has never been canceled out. He was the king of the whole world. And he signed that all the Jews are going to die. He signed another decree we can fight back, but as far as us being killed, there's still a sort of Damocles hanging over the head of the Jewish people. The story of the Megillah is a story of Tchias HaMesim. The turns around, the wheel of fortune. I was a magician when I was a kid. So one of the things that I did is I got a tarot deck. You know, it's supposed to be fortune telling cards. And I learned it's a really simple art. It's all psychology. You figure out what the person wants you to say, and then you put up the cards and you tell it what it's supposed to be. But one is the wheel of fortune. Everything turns around. Yeah. So whatever it is, you say, oh, everything's going to turn around for you. The wheel of fortune card comes out, everything turns around. But for us, we were all supposed to die, and we came back to life. It was Mamash Tchias HaMesim. Haman was right. We were born in Nisan as a people. We should die in Adar. Because Moshe Rabbeinu died in Adar, says the Gemara, but he didn't know he was born in Adar. So what? Everyone who's born dies. It's part of the nature. Mark Twain famously wrote, everything is mortal but the Jew. Yeah. The Jewish people don't die. We disappear and reappear. Tchias HaMesim. Nations of the world are compared to the sun. They last forever. We tell time by the moon. The moon waxes and wanes. It appears, reaches its full moon, and then shrinks until it disappears, and then reappears. And that's what we say in Kiddush Levana, the power of the new month to be able to recreate, to be able to come back to life. That's the power of the Jewish people. And so, counting Avraham as the first generation, Dovid was the 14th generation, Shlomo was the 15th generation. The 14th and 15th of the month is when the moon is full. Right after that, civil war. We split it apart. We slowly are destroyed by a larger power. We go into exile, and that's the end. And then we reappear. And we start to grow again. And we build the second base of Mikdash. And we defeat the Greeks, and we reach our golden age. The Shimon HaMaccabee. And then again, we have the war between Hyrcanus and Aristobulus. And slowly Rome comes in and we fall apart. We get destroyed again. And then we reappear in the great yeshivas in Babel. And eventually they're destroyed. And then we reappear in Spain. And then the community is destroyed. And we wax and wane. Everything is mortal but the Jew. Because we're the power of Tchias HaMesim. That's what Haman didn't understand. Because Amalek is only this world. There is nothing beyond this world. As it says, when Amalek attacked us, they cut off the mukkam of the bris milah, threw it to heaven and said, take back that which you want. God stay up in heaven and we're down here. Yad Hashem b'keiska. Hashem's throne is not complete as long as Amalek is in the world. Why? Because the throne is what allows God to be in this world. And they break that connection. There's nothing but this world. And that's what Haman wanted to do. You, like everything else in nature, you begin, you reach your strength, and then you die. As with people, we're born, we have our youth, and then we slowly start to deteriorate, and then we die. But we have Tchias HaMesim, and we come back again, and that's what Pesach is. Pesach is that power of resurrection. And so in Adar, we start getting ready. It's time to start cleaning up. It's the time to start repainting, remarking, getting ready, everything that needs to be there because the new life is going to burst out. You look at the tree and slowly a new branch comes out, and new leaves, and a new bud, and a new fruit until it reaches its strength. And we have to always look for that hischadshus, for that renewal, for that recreation. Everything is mortal but the Jew. So we read the Daled Parshios. Shkalim, start getting ready your shekel because you're going to need it to buy next year's kabbanos. Collect it now in Adar. Zachar, destroy Amalek because they're trying to stop that recreation, that Tchias HaMesim from taking place. Para, Tumas Mace, the Tameh of death has to be removed. The Para Duma has that power to bring new life after death. And then a Chodesh Hazelachem, that his chadshus, that newness of the Jewish people. And so we leave Adar and go into Nisan to get ready for a brand new month, a brand new year, a brand new creation, a new life, a new Geula, and Metzah Hashem. One day, 1 month, I should say, one Rosh Chodesh, we'll do Kiddush Levana, and the moon will begin to get bigger and bigger and bigger until it's full. And it will keep growing and growing and growing until the moon is as bright as the sun. And there'll be an Emes Geula. Maybe this year. I'm game. In Daf Yomi, I've been teaching Psachim. I think I know enough now to bring the Korban Pesach. I'm a Kohen. I will be standing outside directing the people. I don't think they can actually put me on the floor operating, but you know, the time has come. The time is here. HaGeula ba. I mentioned this years ago that someone I know took his Talmidim to see Rabbi Chaim Kanievsky. This was a few years ago. They said, is Mashiach coming? He says, no, he's outside knocking on the door. That's how close we are. So, Metzah Hashem, we will begin soon our new series, getting ready for Pesach. I don't know if I mentioned, because my memory goes. We have a sponsor this week, and the episode is sponsored anonymously as a schus for the donors. So, of course, all the thousands of people who watch this. And I am always amazed at how many people I meet who are watching this and rewatch it and send it around. And it's on so many different places. All of that is a schus for the people who are supporting this. So thank you to you and the people who support this. And that's it for this week. If you'd like to find out more about the show, you can go to my website, RabbiOrlofsky.com. You can leave a comment, send a letter. You can sponsor an episode. And that's it. As we end Adar and we go into Nisan and the Zman of Geula, of his Chadshus, of newness and recreation and renewal. I'm Dovid Orlofsky, and this is the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.
It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Knowledge and wisdom will help you grow. Lots of fun in every episode, and we don't have to rhyme. No, we don't. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show on RabbiOrlofsky.com. Torah anytime, YouTube and more. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Till next time, till we meet again. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.